Alrighty, so for week 4, you're going to be working on some things to help with your project development and to do a little pre-learning and just to have more experience with coding. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the instruction as I have them here. So what we're going to do for this one is you're going to take on the role of the color architect for your project site. Okay, so when you think about your project site, the thing you're creating, your topic that you've come up with, some content that you've already done, some images you've already selected, right? So you're going to be a professional color. You're going to select a color palette, a professional one, okay, so that matches your topic. You're going to create a style page. We'll show you how to do that. You're going to do a little pre-learning with classes and an external CSS. So this is actually what you're going to get in Dave's course and what we'll do in the project this week. And then you'll tweak the page layout and box style to make it your own. So we're going to give you some starting code and then have you tweak it. So this work is in your public repo. Okay, so at this point, that's what I would be your cue to go ahead and open up in whatever environment you're in, your public repo, and then we'll create in a moment a week 4 folder. Okay. Now, because I know we're working in public, I will also generally, as a queue, also have another tab open that has that GitHub, that 85 GitHub IO, and then my public repo dash pub. And the reason I would do that is I know I'm going to need it if I'm working in my public repo, just so I don't have to go find it later. It just makes my life easier. As an example, here's the week 3 output that we did from last week, and all I did was add week 3. So you can already probably see what we're going to do here. Okay, so you're going to need 3 distinct colors for your site. Okay, you can either use AI or you can use a really great site, which I've used both of these, coolers.co and Adobe Color. I don't care. Or you can use ChatGPT or whatever LLM you like. So you're going to need a primary color, an accent color, let's start over. A primary color, an accent color, and a background text color. Okay. So, these are, are you committing to these? I would say by the time you get to the project, if you're going to change them, I'd change them before then. But for now, play around and see what you think you might use. So either use this prompt, go to ChatGPT, give it your topic and any other additional information you would like to give it, and it'll help you with picking these 3 colors, and they will be in this hex codes. Okay. That's what you're going to want. If you go here, these are great. Like I said, I've used these before. You can go to the generator, or I think if you also go to trending, let me go back. I'm trying to remember where trending was. Tools, because I'm not even logged in, and it'll give me some nice colors as well. Oh, explore palettes. I know there was a trending I'd seen the other day. Generator, explore palettes. There we go. Okay, so it is in there. Okay, so find something you like and choose 3 colors you think you're going to use. Okay, again, for your primary color, your accent color, and your background text color. Okay, so write them down. Now, in this case, like if you were at Cooler, as an example, right? This actually gives you these hex codes. Okay, so this actually is the code you would write down to have for the next step, or chat would give them to you as well. All right, so now this is where we're going to create the folder. So we're going to create a folder in your public called W4. Inside of there, create an index. Inside of 4, create another folder called CSS. And then inside of the CSS, create style.css. So this is one of those areas I say pause here, go do that, and then I will show you the example of mine. Okay, so for me, I always like to open, well, not always, but in this example, I'm going to open up my public repo on my VS Code to only see that. That way I don't have to look at anything else. I created that folder. So again, it really is important where you're sitting where you're selected when you create that folder. Okay, so you can see it's at the same level. Okay, and then within there, you create another folder. here, so it's inside of here, and then here you create a style, and then here you create an index, okay? So that's what it should look like when you're done, okay? So now you're going to copy. So we're going to give you some content to start with. So by the way, you can always just come over here and hit copy, but there's some important things to note here, what you're going to see, okay? One is this, okay? So what's going to happen is in your HTML, where your link to your style sheet, this is a relation, and you'll learn this in the colon this week. And then the reference, like kind of like we did with the image, except instead of source, it's href. And this is very important that you actually, when you're coding your own pages, you do this as well, because some people might be tempted to put a / CSS, but you wouldn't. And then you have an H1, you have colors, right? So this just gives you some starting content, okay? So you would copy that into there. So first take all this code, copy it into your HTML. Now I already have the end product done, right? But in that case, you would copy it in there, and we'll start live server in a minute. And then you're going to copy this into the style.css. Now there's some interesting things to look at here. There's a dot swatch and a dot primary. Actually, let's just scroll down and look. So we have some stacking of the fonts. We have some padding in here. We have a color background, okay? And then we have this class, and that's the dot swatch. And so what this is nice is that we can use this class to apply to all the boxes for the primary accent and background, okay? So it just does some starting styles, and it gives you some comments. And so now we would have, in this case now, a primary class, an accent class, and a text class. So what you'll end up seeing here, and matter of fact, if we scroll back up to the HTML, you've already seen this here, this actually indicates there's two classes for this one div, okay? So first copy that in and copy that in, and then do your commit, okay? So do your commit there. Okay, so this is adding the HTML and the CSS, okay? So now what you want to do is you want to update your CSS, right? You want to open that and replace whatever was on, the 000, your hex codes for your primary accent and text for your chosen ones. And then also, because remember this, look at this, and if we scroll up, or you've already seen it on yours, is in the HTML, we're actually specifying these hex codes as well. That way, when somebody looks at your output, they actually can see which hex code, and you will see which color is in there as well. So that's a nice feature to have, okay? So we're applying yours. Okay, so now in this case, once you update them, right now at this is where I probably would have already started my live server, and I'm going to do it now. Okay, but I'm what is going to show up in mine, and this is I'm going to click W4. It's going to be my final product. Okay, so you at this point, after you've done this step, I'd go ahead and start live server, right? Commit this. Now remember, when we're looking at live server, we're only looking at our local, right? We haven't pushed anything out to GitHub yet. This is all working locally right now. So now you're going to customize and validate, right? So you're going to make this page your own by changing the layout and validating your code, making sure the changes you've done are good to go. So you're going to change the background of the in the body of the CSS, okay, to something that looks good with your palette, right? So, or it gives you some suggestions. You can see on mine here what I chose here. So if I right click, hit inspect, right, and we can show you in the in the CSS as well. So if I click on body, I can see those are the ones I chose for the background for those. Okay, so you choose something unique to you, and then customize .swatch class to have a border, something other than what was the starting code, the skeleton code that you have, and then border radius. Play with this for rounded corners. So this is just one of those like play with for a little bit. So if I right click and hit inspect in here, I would then see in here, as an example, if I go up to the div for swatch, I can see that, oh, okay, there's a border here, so I can play with that border. I see that border here. Let's see, what else was it in here that we should play? Oh yeah, the border radius. So the border around, change that and maybe change the border radius to make this a little more rounded. So play with that because those are things that are fun just to play with. I'm looking at them in the dev tools, but you can also just come over here in your CSS and do that as well. And then it'll refresh in here. But I like to play in dev tools because it's just immediate and then I can kind of see what I like. Okay, so now at this point, once you customize it, right? So you choose your own font stack that you want. Okay, so remember, actually, I think we learn about this is the week we learn about font stacks. Let me make sure of that. Okay, actually, we didn't. So just play around with different fonts and see what you like. Okay, you're going to learn about how to stack fonts so that in case somebody's computer doesn't have a font, it actually knows how to, what we say, be progressive in the sense that it'll fall back. And it's just a good way. You'll learn about that this week. So also change your border. And then again, this is just customizing it, right? So now the thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure, like we did with W3 School, W3 School Validator will also do your CSS, okay? Because this is something you're going to want to make sure when you're doing your project that your code is also valid. So if I brought up my CSS, that W3 School, as long as I had the CSS is valid, I'm good to go. That means I updated and you did minor updates, so it should be pretty easy. But if you see any squiggly, like a missing semicolon, then fix them now is very picky. CSS very picky about validation. Okay, and then here's your commit for that work. And now what you're going to do is once you push to GitHub, right? So once you get your commit done here and then you push to GitHub, now you're actually ready to grab your URL. Okay, so this is where I was saying before having this up. And so if I do W4 at the end, once I push, then you will be able to share this link with everybody in the class. Okay, so remember, once you push, sometimes it can take a few minutes to 20, hopefully not more than that. But once you grab that and you see your work out there, now you can come back to the discussion and you're ready to share. So then it shows you here's how I'm going to grade it. Did you create the right folder? Did you create the index? Did you create the CSS folder in style.css? Did you complete all 3 commits? Is your page correctly linked to the external and displays the 3 color palettes and features valid CSS without issue? Okay, so then in your reply, all you have to do is then paste that. Remember, hit enter so it becomes a link. I'm not sure what that first one is there. Actually, remember, I could also go into my HTML to look at that. So then along with that, reply explaining your design decisions. For example, how does this specific color palette relate to or enhance your project? And then a reply. One substantive reply, like look at their output. First, did it work? Were you able to actually see it? Right? And then any comments on their choices of color based on their topic. Actually, I should include that. I think I'll update the content. Like mine is how to get and stay fit. So actually, I think I will, by the time you get here, change this to where on this here, I will put a bracket so you can put in your topic in here or somewhere in here. So look for that. So make sure you update it. Okay, that's it for week 4. Time to get to code along.